All right, 7th grade, coming in talking about chapter 13 of The Giver, continuing our discussion as we continue to learn from home. So, chapter 13, Jonas and the Giver further discuss color and the lack of choices. And Jonas sort of laments that they don't have color, even though he says it's ultimately unimportant, but the choice itself is important. And I want you guys to think about it. Do you feel that way about your clothes? I mean, does it really matter what you wear? And is it the choice that's important or what you're actually wearing? And go ahead and leave your thoughts on that in the comments below. That said, the Giver then points out to Jonas, well, people might choose the wrong things if they were given choices. And Jonas is like, whoa, didn't think of that. And he's stunned. He thinks about, well, what if someone picked, the wrong spouse or the wrong job? And he describes it as unsafe. And then another discussion question I want you guys to focus in on is thinking about, it's a quote from Ben Franklin that I love, which Ben Franklin says, any society that would trade a little liberty for a little security deserves neither and will lose them both. So it's clear what Ben Franklin thought on the issue. But what do you think is more important? Do you think liberty or security is more important? And, think about our current situation. We're giving up a lot of liberty, going where we want to go, going to restaurants, going to bars, going to movie theaters, going to school even, giving up all those freedoms for the safety of everyone in our community. So I want you to think about that in our current situation. You can go ahead and leave comments below talking about that. Jonas finds himself irritated with the ignorance of his group mates, sort of like we were beginning to see in the last chapter. He tries to share memories with them, but it doesn't work. They don't have the capacity to receive. They cannot receive memories from him. He tries with Asher, he tries with his dad, he tries with his sister. Does not work with any of them. The Giver then shares him a memory of poaching, and he sees an elephant shot down and another elephant mourning the loss of its friend. And Jonas begins to see some of the injustices that used to exist in the world and why this society made a point to get rid of them. You don't have poaching going on in the Society of the Giver. Now, there are no animals. Does that mean they killed all of them? Possibly. Does that mean all the animals are off somewhere else? Again, possibly. We don't know. But a lot of these injustices have been given up. There is no homelessness in the world of the Giver. There is no hunger in the world of the Giver. There is no unemployment in the world of the Giver. All of these are affirmatively good things. We would say, yes, we want a society where there is no unemployment, or yes, we want a society where there is no homelessness, or yes, we want a society where everyone gets a good job. These are all things we want as a society, and the Giver has achieved those. Now the question is then, at what cost has it achieved these? The Giver confirms that Jonas will be able to share with no one this experience, even if he applies for a spouse. We learn what happens to couples as their children enter society. They enter the house of childless adults. So the adults that go off, go live alone. They don't have a family anymore. It's done. I mean, think about that. Presumably, when you're adults, you'll want to go back and visit your parents or your guardians. Presumably, that's something you'd want. But that doesn't happen in the world of the Giver. Why might they want to break that up? Because why would they want to stop that attachment? Again, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. The Giver does give us a hint of what happened with the last failed receiver, whose memories were released to the communities instead of going back to the Giver when they were released. Tells us immediately that people then began to experience things like pain and suffering. People couldn't handle it. But Jonas, Google, I don't know why you're pulling up when me talking that. I haven't talked to you. Jonas volunteers to take on an actually painful memory, and that's where the chapter ends. We're left off right before that experience. The Giver says they're going to start with something familiar. So we're going to find out very quickly what sort of pain the Giver is holding on to and what the society is going to do with that. But that's where we're going to leave it for today, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be back talking with you on the next chapter, and I will see you in the next one, 7th grade. Take care.